Apple is a company known for innovation, with products like the iPod, Macintosh computer, and iPhone, all of which revolutionized how people interface with technology and arguably changed the world. But on the flip side of the coin, there's also the Apple that has approved some questionable design choices, even more questionable design choices, and of course, one of the most controversial decisions in technology history. But on top of removing the headphone jack, the home button, or the SIM tray, Apple's also gotten involved in several controversial events that you may not have heard about. So here are 5 of the most controversial things involving Apple, starting with number 1, Epic Games versus Apple. So Epic Games is an American game developer most known for a small game you might not have heard about, Fortnite. And in 2017, Epic Games put Fortnite Mobile onto the App Store and the Google Play Store. This was a huge deal because people were obsessed with buying skins, and of course, being the most popular game in the world, this was gonna be a huge money generator. And by the year 2019, just from the App Store alone, Fortnite generated $1 billion. Now the problem here lies with how Apple takes a cut from all generated sales, 30%. Now that 30% might seem like a lot, but that was the standard, especially for all of the major digital storefronts at the time and even to this day. And the thing is, Epic Games knew this going into it. They literally signed a contract with both the App Store and the Google Play Store that yes, they're gonna take 30% of your profits and you're okay with that. But in 2020, Epic Games did something that I think is really stupid. They pushed out an update to the App Store and the Google Play Store that allowed gamers and users to bypass the App Store and use a direct payment system. This, of course, made Apple absolutely furious, and so they shut down Fortnite and completely banned it from the App Store, and so did Google as well. And effectively, Epic Games killed Fortnite Mobile right there on the spot. Now, I don't know what Epic Games was thinking, but they decided to file a lawsuit against Apple and Google at this point, claiming that the App Store was actually a monopoly and that the App Store was using unfair practices. Of course, Epic Games lost because they themselves breached the contract that they signed with the App Store, but also it was concluded that the App Store was in fact not a monopoly because the Google Play Store existed. And even to this day, Fortnite Mobile remains unavailable on both the App Store and the Google Play Store. Next up, we have Apple versus the FBI. So there's been this long-standing debate between privacy and security and your freedom, where the FBI will find the phone of their suspect, which happens to be an iPhone most of the time, and then go to Apple and say, hey, we need you to actually unlock this phone so we can gain some information about motives or any additional information that may help us in this investigation. But when people talk about this type of thing, they usually point to one event, and that's the San Bernardino shooting in 2015. Following the shooting, the FBI found the work phone of the suspect because the main phone had been destroyed. And so they took the work phone to Apple and they said, hey, can you guys create a program, like a whole new program that would allow us to gain access to this phone? And we promise that we're only gonna use this program once. And of course, Apple said no. Similar to how you just cannot eat one cookie from the cookie jar, Apple was afraid that this program would potentially get leaked or get into the hands of the wrong people, and so they didn't wanna make it.
This case is not about my phone. This case is about the future, to write software that we believe would make hundreds of millions of customers vulnerable around the world.
Now, this whole thing sort of ended when the FBI went to another firm in Australia who was able to create that program for the FBI. But this did sort of spark this whole conversation about like your rights, right? Like your rights to privacy and freedom. And so this is definitely an interesting one and an ongoing one. And I'm sure we'll see these situations come up again and again. Now, next up, we have all of the iPhone related gates, with the most famous being Bendgate, which we're gonna bend this phone later, or at least try to. But first one I wanna talk about is Antenna Gate. So this happened with the iPhone 4, where Apple wanted to start increasing their production quality on these iPhones, right? And so started making phones with metal and glass. As you may or may not know, these materials are not great for getting signal for your phone. This is why before modern phones, a lot of phones were either made of plastic or had some sort of antenna sticking out from the phone. So Apple's solution to this was to add a plastic antenna band, which is just like a little piece of plastic that breaks up the metal band that surrounds the phone. But what Apple didn't account for was people squeezing this antenna band, which resulted in almost an immediate signal drop, something that I was able to experience with my personal iPhone 4. Now, Apple's response to this was, well, our bad, we're gonna give you a free bumper case, which was like this piece of plastic that went around your phone that Apple labeled as a case.
Bumper solves the signal strength problem. Why don't you just give everybody a case? Okay, great.
And that seemed to alleviate the issue. However, for most people, I'd say this wasn't really that big of a deal. It's only if you held your phone at a certain angle and really squeezed hard. And so yeah, while it wasn't that big of a deal, it was sort of the beginning of the gates for the iPhones. Next up, we have battery gate. Now, over the years, you may have thought to yourself that Apple was intentionally slowing down your phone for whatever reason to make you buy another iPhone that would be that much faster. Well, turns out this was confirmed with Batterygate. So in 2017, it was confirmed by Geekbench that Apple was intentionally slowing down their phones due to what Apple called a battery malfunction. I don't know why I did that in quotes, because I guess the battery actually did malfunction, where the battery wasn't supplying enough voltage to the phone to keep it running at anything less than 30%, so the phone would just shut itself off. And so Apple decided that, hey, instead of like actually replacing the battery for these people, we're just gonna slow your phone down. Now this, of course, was a very controversial decision by Apple, and a lot of people got mad when they found out that Apple was deliberately slowing down their phones. So what Apple did next was offer a discounted battery replacement program, which brought the price from $80 down to $30, which actually a lot of people took advantage of. Over 11 million people replaced their batteries in that year alone from that discounted battery program. Now, could Apple have been better about their communication and what they did? Sure, but I guess a $30 battery replacement isn't bad. But then arguably the most infamous gate out of all the iPhones has to be
Bendgate.
Bendgate.
Bendgate. Bendgate.
Bendgate. Bendgate. Okay.
So in 2014, the iPhone 6 Plus was released, which was Apple's first ever big phone. But then just a short while after the phone launched, a couple of people reported that the phone was actually bending under the pressure of putting it in their back pocket and sitting on their phones. There were a couple of photos being released of this happening, and I actually owned this phone and I was terrified. But then this is when Unbox Therapy released one of the most popular tech videos. To this day has over 70 million views, and that of course is the iPhone 6 Plus bend test. Now, I personally never stress test my personal phone, but now, today, we're gonna put that to the test with this non-functioning iPhone 6 Plus that I purchased off of eBay. Let's get into it. So here's a before of the phone. As you can see, it is not bent. Without further ado, I'm gonna try to bend this phone. Oh, wow. I don't know if you caught that, but the phone was already coming apart. Holy crap. Okay, so after a bit of effort, you can see a slight bend in the phone right there. Definitely here to crack. Okay, so honestly, with how much force that I'm putting into this phone, and just for it to be slightly noticeable, I mean, it's pretty bad, but I don't know. I think people made this out to be more of an issue than it actually was. I don't know. Did you guys own the iPhone 6 Plus? I'm curious to hear if any of you guys experienced a bend issue. Okay, so update. I basically put my whole body weight into this phone. As you can see, it's pretty freaking messed up. Now, I believe this was also the failure point in Lou's video, but we're gonna try over here in this section to see if we can get it to bend at other points of the phone. I mean, there's your problem. Let's bend this phone a little more. That just happened. This is, believe it or not, the first phone screen I've ever cracked, but holy crap. Yeah, this phone is bent. as you may or may not have been able to tell. Hello? Yeah, I'm having some trouble hearing you. I think my phone's dead. All right, well, I guess that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like down below and definitely get subscribed if you aren't already. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.